In this video, I'm going to show you how to replace your water pump on your Honda CR-V 2.4 liter. It's located on the passenger side of the engine. All right, so you're going to use either a belt tool. If you have a very long one, that'll be helpful. It's a 14 millimeter. If you don't have that, then you're going to remove your reservoir, which is pretty easy to do. You're just going to need a flathead screwdriver to push this back and then pull this out. You don't have to disconnect any hoses. You're just going to put it over here, put it off to the side so that you can get a better swing on the tensioner bolt. Next, you're going to use an offset closed wrench, 14 millimeter, and place it on the bolt. And you're going to pull it down. All right, and then you're going to pull towards you to relieve the tension. And slip the belt off. Okay, once you get the belt off, you can release it. And remove your tool. And now we can take our belt off. Now you can set aside your reservoir closer to the front of the car. Okay, so we're going to undo our plug for our radiator and drain the coolant. So I have a drain bucket underneath, and we're just going to twist that to the left. And let that drain. Using a 19 millimeter socket, we're going to remove our lug nuts and remove your front right wheel. Make sure you have a hand on the wheel for that last one. Sometimes the wheel wants to jump off. We're going to want to take out our push pins here, so use a trim tool, go underneath and pull. And then underneath this plastic cover, which we're just going to set aside. You don't have to take the whole thing off. So we've drained our coolant, we've taken our serpentine belt off, and we've taken our plastic cover down. So now we're going to take our crank pulley off with a 19 millimeter socket and a special tool to hold it still while we take the bolt out. So I'm using a breaker bar with a special tool and a 19 millimeter socket with my impact gun. All right, so once you've gotten your bolt out, take it out the remainder of the way. All right, so now we can pull our pulley off. So now that we have this crank pulley off, we have room to get to our water pump. Okay, using a 10 millimeter long socket, a 1/4 inch ratchet, I'm gonna take out my water pump bolts. So you're gonna go through the pulley. All right, for this bolt, I'm using a ratchet wrench, 10 millimeter, because it's hard to get anything else in there. use my hand for the rest of the way. Just line up your pulley hole, and you'll be able to take the bolt out that way. All right, so now I'm on the next bolt up, and using a ratchet wrench again. Once you crack it loose, you should be able to take it out with your hands. All right, and now I'm going to go for that top one. All right, to get to this bolt on the other side of the water pump, you're going to reach up and try to find it with your finger. And when you find it, you're good. I'm using a ratchet wrench again. And once you crack it loose, you'll be able to get it the rest of the way with your fingers. All right, so you're going to use a 1/4 inch ratchet and a long socket, and you're going to feed it up through the pulley hole and get on that bolt, and then you're going to be able to get it free. I would only crack it loose and then take it out, because you're going to get all jammed up, and then you get your ratchet out again if you try to take it out all the way with a ratchet. All right, so that bolt is going to come out with the water pump. If you can't get it out with your fingers. And now we're going to get the water pump off of the block. Make sure you have a drip pan below you in case there's any residual coolant. All right, so after you've cracked it loose and you let it drain for a little bit, we're going to take off the water pump. So just pull it away. If that one bolt is still holding you back, you're going to have to take it out all the way, which is what's happening to us. All right, so now we're going to take the water pump down. All right, so we're going to clean the surface for our water pump with a rag and some parts cleaner, brake parts cleaner. Make sure it's nice and clean. All right, so our new water pump comes with its gasket, and you are going to just place it in there as best you can. There is little places to help hold it in there. Once you get it seated, we're ready to install. All right, so this bolt here is really hard to get to, so I'm going to put that in first before putting it up on the engine. All right, so just drop it down like that, and that'll be easier when you're installing. So I'm going to do my top bolt first, because that'll help hold it in, and then try to start this other one that I've already put in on the water pump. All right, so we're going to feed it up. Make sure your gasket stays in place. And everybody's lined up, and then you can get that bolt on the top started. And then we're going to get this one started that we put in the water pump. All right, so you're going to slide your ratchet wrench up and up under the pulley, and you're going to get it on top of that bolt head. And you're going to press down and get that bolt started with your wrench. All right, after you get that bolt started, you're going to get a socket on the head of the bolt and use your hand to tighten it in. And then once you get it tight enough, you can get your wrench in there to really snug it down. I'm using a long 10mm socket. It's tedious, but you can get it in there. Once you get that bolt started pretty good, you can then put your 1/4-inch ratchet with your 10mm long socket in the hole below, and then rotate the pulley up to get back on the head of the bolt, and then you're going to tighten it down. Okay, so this bolt is the toughest one to get to, so once you get it somewhat snug, it's going to be a lot easier. And then you're going to move on to your next bolt. So you can use your 1/4-inch ratchet with a socket, or your wrench that has a ratchet wrench on it. So now I'm just going around and snugging everything up. And then I'll go around again to tighten them all. There is a torque spec of 104 inch-pounds or 8.7 foot-pounds if you can get a torque wrench in there. If you can't, just do your best and tighten it up. All right, so now that we've snugged them all up, I'm going to go around and tighten them. I would say if you're using a 1/4-inch ratchet and you can't get a torque wrench in there, I would tighten it and then go 1/4 of a turn more all the way around. And same with your ratchet wrench, it's the same length, so you'll get the same amount of leverage. So tighten it and go 1/4 of a turn more. All right, and there you have it. All right, so you're going to put oil between the washer in the head of the bolt, and then you're going to put oil on the beginning threads. Don't put oil right here. Okay, so put your pulley on with the keyway and start it in the on. You can push it on as much as you can. Then you're going to insert your bolt. Then you're going to hand tighten it. I'm going to wipe off any residual oil. Then you're going to need your tool to hold it still while you torque it to 36 foot-pounds. After you torque it to 36 foot-pounds, you're going to go another 90 degrees. All right, so after it's to 36 foot-pounds, you're going to go another quarter of a turn or 90 degrees. I'm going to use my bar here to tell me when I'm there. That's about good. All right, our tool's a little stuck, so I'll just use a rubber mallet to get it off. All right, so to start putting the belt in, we're gonna slide it towards the front, in front of the motor mount, and feed it down towards the crank pulley. There isn't a whole lot of room, so use your patience. All right, so now we've fed the serpentine belt through on top in front of the motor mount, and now we're underneath through the wheel well. So what you want to do is get this belt on the crank and on the AC compressor. Make sure it's all the way on and all the way on the compressor. You want to make sure that the belt is halfway between that water pump pulley, because you're going to pull it down and put it under it. But we can't do that until we have a belt tool attached on top. All right, to install this belt, you are going to need a special tool, a belt tool, in order to get enough leverage. So taking it off is one thing, using a different type of tool, but to put it on, you're definitely going to need a tool. All right, so now we have a reservoir out of the way by pulling it out from the bracket, and we have our tool set up. We also have the belt on top of the power steering pulley, and we're making sure that it is lined up where it needs to go through those pulleys. So your belt is on your tensioner already. We're going to pull back with our tool, and as we're pulling back all the way, we're going to go reach with our left hand and pull down on the belt and slide it onto that water pump pulley. If you can't do that on your own, you can have a friend pull back on this tool while you go underneath and slide it on the pulley. All right, so now we're going to pull back all the way on our tensioner as far as it goes. And you're going to reach down, or someone can hold that for you. And you're going to make sure your belt's on your crank properly, your AC compressor properly, and you're going to pull down on the belt that's in between the water pump pulley and slide it onto that pulley by sliding it underneath it. Before letting go, make sure that the serpentine belt is properly aligned with the crank pulley and the AC compressor before letting go of the belt tool. All right, so now that you have put that on the water pump pulley, you're checking your pulleys on the top. Make sure it's lined up where it belongs. Looking good, so now we can take off our tool. Depending on the tool you're using, it could be a little tough, but if you pry away at it, it should come out. It's extremely tight. All right, so now we can install our reservoir again. So put it in the bracket and press down. If your tab on your bracket is bent, bend it back to hold it in there. There you go. All right, so now that we have our serpentine belt on, just do one last check on these pulleys, make sure the belt is aligned properly, and then we can put our plastic cover back on. All right, so now you can put your wheel back on, fill your coolant, bleed the system, and you should be good to go. Reinstall your wheel. And then put your lug nuts on finger tight. And we're going to snug it up. Go in a star-like pattern, like this. We're going to torque our wheels to 80 foot-pounds. You're going to do it in a star-like pattern. And I like to go around one more time to make sure I got them all. All right, so now we're going to fill our coolant. Keep filling up your coolant until it's about halfway up your funnel. And if you don't have a funnel like this, just keep filling it up till you see that it's close to the top. You're going to start your vehicle, let it run, put your heat on, let it warm up, and then the thermostat will open and more coolant will go down and you'll have more room to put more in. Then you're going to fill it up to the top. Make sure your heat works. Make sure there's no leaks anywhere, and put your cap back on and take it for a road test. Just make sure you bleed the system completely before so. And by doing that, you're going to know it's bled because you won't see any more bubbles.
When only the best will do, demand TRQ. The only company that lets you view before you do. TRQ is committed to offering the highest quality aftermarket auto parts that are engineered for peace of mind. Thanks for using and viewing with TRQ.